feels terrific about. They might be able to build off this NIT experience heading towards next year.
Very much so, and they've also got 2 seniors who are looking forward to going out the right way.
We are underway in Tallahassee. Florida State, the 2nd year in the row in the NIT, and last year they got knocked out in the first round on their home floor by Louisiana Tech. So there's a little bit of revenge on the mind of the Noles tonight.
There is, but there's also confidence on the part of Louisiana Tech, knowing that they can come into this building and walk away with the win.
You can see how far out the guards for Louisiana Tech extend the defense. And now some trouble as Monte Brandon heads to the goal and scores, plus the foul.
And this will be important for Florida State all night. When you have teams that pressure the way Louisiana Tech does, you have to be able to beat your guy one-on-one with the purpose of finishing at the rim. That's how Monte Brandon, fortunate to get the basketball back after picking up his dribble, but turns it into a positive possession for the Seminoles.
Jaron Johnson called for the foul. So Brandon, who is not nearly the offensive threat that the other guards in the backcourt for Florida State collectively are, starts the game with a 3-point play. It's not often that Louisiana Tech will take the shot clock down under 10, but they do here. Anderson with an up fake and settles for the 18-footer. Comes up way short. 2 seconds on the shot clock. And a nice save by Michael Kaiser, but now it'll have to be a quick trigger for the Bulldogs.
And a disciplined possession defensively for Florida State, but of course, a number of great athletes on this Louisiana Tech team. You have to protect the basket right here with the short shot clock.
There's the lob. Kaiser right at the front of the rim, misses the bunny. Boy, they did the hard part, executing the out-of-bounds underneath to perfection with 2 on the shot clock, and Kaiser couldn't lay it over the front of the rim. Michael Ojo, who didn't pick up a basketball until 4 years ago, playing soccer in Nigeria, but someone I think realized 7'1", 290, you might have some hope at basketball.
Right, and anytime you have a short shot clock underneath, out of bounds, you're going to have to defend the rim, and right there, great execution by Louisiana Tech, but as you mentioned, unable to finish it. Kaiser getting a point-blank look. He's got to take advantage of it.
Smith sets up Anderson. That three's too strong. Offensive rebound falls to Smith off the tap from Johnson. Hamilton on the drive to the corner, wide open Johnson, in and out. And stumbling out of bounds was Aaron Thomas. It looked as if he was bumped, no foul call.
Well, there was contact on it, however, the official not feeling as though there was anything significant to warrant a foul. And you see Aaron Thomas sticks out his left leg as he's coming down, so he really was the one initiating the contact. Great no call on the part of the official.
Chris Anderson, that's thrown out by Akara White.
One thing for certain, if you're going to attack the basket against Florida State, you better be prepared to dunk it, because anything you lay up is free game for Akara White, Boris Bojanowski. Those guys are going to get it. They're not going to concede any layup.
Here's Speedy Smith, 7.8 assists per game. 8 or more assists in 15 of his last 19 games. And it helps when you've got finishers, and that's what Alex Hamilton is. He has a chance for a 3-point play.
And this is the guy for Louisiana Tech that they need to be aggressive at all times. Alex Smith, a great job splitting the screen and roll, getting low, and then going to his offhand, which is his right hand, with the finish, getting to the rim, and now an opportunity to tie the game at the free throw line. And for Louisiana Tech, this is what they have to do. They have to be able to score in order to set up their pressure. This is how they want to play. They want to turn Florida State over and defend them 94 feet, but you have to put the ball in the hole to be able to do that.
A near turnover ends up with Bojanovsky, but he can't bank it home. And then it's fumbled out of bounds by Chris Anderson. So it stays with the Noles in spite of the fact that they struggled with the pressure. And Leonard Hamilton has a thin backcourt. And he was worried, I think, about how that thin backcourt might be worn down a bit in this game against the up-tempo for Louisiana Tech. And getting the roll from the corner is Akara White.
And Akara White has now made 6 straight three-point field goals over his last span of 4 games. The problem for him is he just doesn't take many.
A block and a takeaway by Bojanovsky. And a foul called on Chris Anderson. There's Michael White, who last year was the WAC Coach of the Year when they won the WAC regular season, of course, switching to Conference USA this year and finishing not only with a share of first place in the regular season for Conference USA, but being given the regular season title. They were upset somewhat in the championship game by Tulsa, but got the automatic bid to the NIT based on being the champion of Conference USA, and they are working on a 29-win season. A little Euro crossover for Aaron Thomas, and Florida State extends their lead.
And that's the right place to put the basketball against pressure. If you can get the ball to the middle of the floor, it's difficult for the opposing team to be able to trap you. And when you can put it in the hands of Aaron Thomas, he's going to stay in attack mode.
Turnover, a fumble on the handoff between Cordarius Johnson and Speedy Smith. Thomas thought about a 3, lost the dribble, but somehow it falls into the hands of Akara White for a layup.
And Florida State has benefited on a number of bobbled basketballs. They've turned into scores and opportunities at the rim, but they still have to tighten up because you don't want Louisiana Tech getting those and getting out in transition.
The tempo of this game is going to be fun. You can sense it. There will be times in this game where these two teams will just run up and down the floor.
And Florida State won't back away from running with La Tech.
And Akara White will go to the line, fouled by Michael Kaiser when we come back.
And this is the way you handle the pressure. Get the ball to the center of the floor to one of your playmakers. And once you find Aaron Thomas, he knows how to finish it at the rim. Florida State up 7.
ESPN's exclusive press. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Audi, Truth in Engineering, The Principal Financial Group. The Principal Financial Group can help build, grow, and protect your financial future. And Roundup Max Control 365 kills weeds and keeps them gone for up to a year.
Bob Wischusen, Corey Alexander back here in Tallahassee. The winner goes to the Garden. Florida State with an early 7-point lead, and Aaron Thomas has been on fire in the NIT. 22 points in the opening round win against Florida Gulf Coast, 26 against Georgetown, and he probably feels right now like he can't miss.
Well, when you're shooting the ball the way that he is, he may not be able to miss, but he's not just a guy that takes shots from the perimeter. He's always in attack mode trying to get to the rim, but you can see the confidence growing in the sophomore, and he is truly becoming a leader for the Seminole team.
And Akara White has been equally as good. He had 17 points and 7 rebounds against Florida Gulf Coast and 16 on Monday night against Georgetown. And Louisiana Tech, conversely, they're 1 for 9 from the field with a turnover, so they find themselves down by 9.
And Ian Miller checking into the game. Of course, his status unknown. Had a big game Monday night against Georgetown, but playing with turf toe. So it would be interesting to see how well he's able to move and recovering from all the 26 minutes he played on Monday night.
Suffered the injury in the ACC tournament, missed the Gulf Coast game, but came back to play against Georgetown. The lob, and that's broken up inside. Good hands by Aaron Thomas, and now a foul called and a cheap one on Michael Kaiser. That's his second.
And that's huge for Louisiana Tech, simply because they're not really deep up front. And of course, when you're playing against Florida State, they want to make sure they get you in foul trouble with your size. And if you're Kaiser, you can't give up that one because it's so important for you to be on the floor for your teammates. He's the guy that protects the rim. Without him in there, Florida State can have free run to the basket.
He's a 7-point, 7-rebound player, and he's replaced by Gilbert Talbot. Pull-up jumper won't go for Devin Booker. McNeil allows the flyby. In and out for 3. Bojanovsky got tied up with Talbot, had something to say about it, so we'll keep our eyes on the 2 big men. Hands in the passing lane for Aaron Thomas. A scramble on the floor. Devin Booker tied up, and now it will be called a held ball. Possession arrow gives it to Florida State.
And you can see the frustration on Hamilton. Right now, Florida State is doing the job defensively. Louisiana Tech kind of out of sorts on the offensive end, and they had to take the timeout in order to be able to maintain the possession.
We'll come back in 30 seconds to Tallahassee. Louisiana Tech down to Florida State by 9, but if statistics tell a story, we realize they're going to get some shots up before this game's over.
This is what you call wanting to play fast. When you're second nationally in field goal attempts and third in 3-point field goal attempts, you want to get the ball down the floor and get a look early in transition. You don't want to play around with it. And right now, Florida State's defense kind of has them out of sorts, not getting quality looks on the offensive end.
Raheem Appleby has come on for the first time. He was first team All-WAC as a sophomore, but missed close to 2 months earlier this year with an ankle injury and is just now getting back into shape. He can score it, though, and that a floater towards the rim that looked like it might have been on the way down. Louisiana Tech thought it should have been goaltending, but the officials call it a straight block and a shot clock violation.
We have to see the flight of the ball, and as the ball is continuing to go up, and it looks like it really has started its descent right there, Gilchrist. But when you jump so high and you can go get it at the top, you know, it's difficult for the officials to be able to see. It may have started to come down a little bit.
Bojanowski out of a double team lobs one to midcourt. That's recovered by Ian Miller.
That's a recipe for disaster when you have your 7'3" center dribbling the basketball out on the wing. But great pass by Ian Miller to find Devin Booker. Because of the pressure, is able to sneak back door, ends up with the foul and opportunity at the free throw line.
Appleby called for the foul, so Booker, who was a 79% free throw shooter, will go to the line. And you're right, aggressive defense sometimes creates the backdoor opportunity.
Yeah, when you push the offense so far out on the floor and everyone is out in deny mode, then when it takes away your protection at the basket, and remember, Kaiser is on the bench, so they don't have that rim protector. But you see Ian Miller with a great look to Booker, and Appleby has his back turned, so of course as a defender, he's not going to be able to intercept that pass. Great decision by Ian Miller, and for Florida State continuing to stay aggressive.
Tough shot, a little too strong for Gilbert Talbot. But a takeaway at midcourt. Here's Speedy Smith the other way.
That's something people are used to hearing. Takeaway at midcourt by Speedy Smith. That's what he does, 2.5 steals a game. But right now, with his other benefit is being the assist man, and he has to get his team making some shots.
And again, the shot clock winding down. Under 15. Shooting a three is Appleby. That was well off the mark, but Robert Gilchrist bumped Appleby, so he'll shoot three.
That's a bailout by Gilchrist, and exactly what you need if you're Louisiana Tech, because they're not able to get much going to the rim. And one of their guys, of course, one of their main scorers in Appleby, we talked about his before injury, he was their leading scorer. He's really been their leading scorer since he walked on campus 3 years ago, but that injury has really slowed him down. And his coaching staff, Coach White, they're looking for him to have a breakout game. And right now, with everyone else struggling, he may be the guy to get them back into this.
He's been a double-figure scorer all 3 years at Louisiana Tech and was in double figures 13 of the first 16 games of the season, but then suffers the ankle injury and misses 49 days. That encompassed 12 games, and that was right at the start of conference play.
And that's like, a new season for him. I mean, you talk about being out 49 days, that's a month and a half, and when you look at that, not only do you lose your feel for the game at that point, but your conditioning and everything else, and then he's not 100% right now. So getting back into it, he's still questioning that ankle a bit. So for him, but right now he's giving them a little bit of a boost because they haven't found much success at all offensively.
Monte Brandon back in for Aaron Thomas for Florida State. And the team changes. As you know, the team has now adjusted in the month and a half that you've been gone. Alex Hamilton became Louisiana Tech's leading scorer. Well, how? I mean, he got tremendous playing opportunities with Raheem Appleby out.
And that's crucial because one of the things about him, he's been a great teammate and not hurt the team by being selfish about his production. Just coming back to the team and fitting in and being one of the guys, which is very difficult for you to do, especially when you were the guy before you got hurt.
Jaron Johnson to the line. That was a nice backdoor look from McNeil, so Johnson will shoot a pair. And the senior, normally a relatively reliable free throw shooter at 72%. This is his second year at Louisiana Tech after transferring from Tyler Junior College in Texas. 9-point per game scorer. Only one field goal so far for Louisiana Tech through the first 7+ minutes, but they're within 7.
And they've actually been able to turn Florida State over in the last couple possessions, and now they find themselves in dead man's corner, and you don't want your bigs having to handle the ball this far away from the basket.
Booker for three. That's what you give up sometimes with good ball movement and against that pressure, a wide open look from three.
Absolutely, and it's so difficult to be able to recover to shooters, and Devin Booker continued to pick up where he left off on Monday night. Florida State now finding this range, of course, from three-point land, and that is one of the things that Louisiana Tech has to be very wary of giving up.
Appleby answers the second three made for Louisiana Tech. Leaning in, some hang time for Ian Miller. The putback won't go. But another try at the front of the rim results in a foul. Well, Carl White with an offensive rebound to keep it alive for the Noles.
And Florida State living dangerously. Carl White, of course, and he's a good ball handler, but you find Michael Ojo this far away from the basket. Ojo able to get it out, and on the backside is no way to recover to one of Florida State's best three-point shooters in Devin Booker, and that's what you give up, as you mentioned earlier. The thing is, if you don't come up with that turnover, you've got to find a way to get to these shooters for the Seminoles.
Florida State, in the win over Georgetown, shot 68% from the field. They got better in the second half than they were in the first half. They were 11 of 16 from three-point land. We were talking to Michael White earlier, and he said it was funny. You're watching the game against Louisiana Tech. You know, they're watching the game to see who they're going to play, and they're thinking, we're walking into this buzzsaw against Florida State. These guys can't miss. But he said in the second half, now you're rooting for everything to go in.
Yeah, simply because you want them to basically get all of that out of their system and make sure they're not able to make them when you come back an opportunity to see him. But Michael White coming in with the game plan, we'll get an opportunity to check him out when we return from break.
The winner of this game goes to Madison Square Garden. It's the NIT quarterfinals. Florida State with an 18-10 lead over Louisiana Tech. And before the game, we had a chance to get inside the locker room with Michael White and the Bulldogs.
The biggest key to the game. The biggest key to the game is right here, what Coach just talked about, transition D. If you look at their offensive numbers, they're 40 in this, they're 50 in this, they're 65 in this, they're 28 in this. In transition offense, they're like a 94. They're really, really good, okay? It's the biggest key to the game. You guys have put yourself in this unbelievable situation. We're one game away. Let's take a little field trip to New York City. What do you think? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
And talking to both coaches, that really is what it's all about. Both teams were either on the bubble in the case of Florida State, or for Louisiana Tech going into the Conference USA Championship game, really as the favorite, thinking they were going to maybe make it to the NCAA tournament. Both missed out, but now have a chance to make it to Manhattan.
And you also want to capitalize on what has been a great year. 29 wins for Louisiana Tech. So for them, they are just basically trying to capitalize on what they've done all year, and they don't want to stop playing. So it's important for Coach White and his team to continue playing, and the only way they're able to do that is head to the Big Apple.
They did go back and take a look at Raheem Appleby's three-point attempt just to confirm that it was a three while we were away, and it looks as if they called it a three on the floor, and we'll stick with that call. As we take another look, and from this angle, very hard to tell if that right toe is on the line or not. But called a three on the floor, you have to have indisputable video evidence to change the call on the floor, and because they didn't have that, you stick with Tony Green's original call of a three. And now Louisiana Tech with the ball in the front court trying to draw closer.
Louisiana Tech, 7 of their 10 points are off of Florida State turnovers, so their game plan is coming into effect. However, they're not getting as many turnovers as they would like, and then they have to capitalize. Only 2 for 13 from the field right now.
Appleby for 3. That one clearly a 3. Offensive rebound tipped back by Talbot. A fresh 35. Not wasting any time on the drive, though, Alex Hamilton. And a foul will be called on Gilbert Talbot of the Bulldogs, so it goes back over to the Noles.
And Hamilton is a guy that gets to the basket and also gets to the free throw line a lot. But when you head to the rim and you see 7'1" Michael Ojo standing there, it changes the degree of difficulty on your shot. And right now, Hamilton unable to finish at the rim. And Florida State knows that he's a guy that's going to be attacking, and they also have 10 eyes on him every time he has the basketball.
Team foul number 7 on Louisiana Tech. So with 11:22 to go in the first half already, it's the penalty, and Florida State shooting a 1-and-1, and there is size in the front court for Florida State.
Well, I'm doing my quick math, but that looks like 125 blocks between 3 guys right there. So you're talking about a lot of, and not just the block shots, but you have to think about how many of them are deferred simply because you have to change your shot when you get to the rim trying to shoot over that size.
Impressive, Corey Alexander, flashing the UVA education.
Well, I do what I can do when I can do it.
Cordarius Johnson has come back on. Speedy Smith back in the game for La Tech as well. The floater on the baseline won't go for Alex Hamilton.
And that shot changed simply because Aaron Thomas gets over to set up for the charge. Not the shot blocker, but, the same effect by Aaron Thomas just getting in the right position defensively.
Ian Miller a pull-up. No good. Offensive rebound again for Accaro. He'll try a 3rd time. That won't go. Ojo nearly kept it alive, but it ends up with Smith. And Speedy Smith, living up to his name, draws the foul. He's got a 2nd gear. Maybe a 3rd as well.
And you said it absolutely right. Speedy Smith living up to his name. And you're talking about getting out in transition. He outruns pretty much everyone on the floor getting to the rim here. Florida State doesn't want to give that up. And, of course, Carl White doesn't want to pick up that foul. But Speedy Smith putting the pressure on the Seminole defense.
Not only was he first team All-Conference USA, he's also the Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year and had 4 point assist double-doubles. That's rare in college basketball with a 35-second shot clock, so longer possessions and a shorter game, only 40 minutes as opposed to 48 in the NBA. It's not unusual at all to see point assist double-doubles in the NBA, but point assist double-doubles, you don't see them much in college.
Well, I'll tell you what's even more rare is the fact that he was also first team All-WAC and all defensive team in the WAC 2 years ago. So this guy has made first team and all defensive team in 2 conferences in 2 back-to-back years.
And only a junior, so the heart of this team will come back for Louisiana Tech next year as well. Both of these teams will return really good backcourt players, and that has to give you a lot of hope that you can build off NIT success to maybe make a run again next year.
Absolutely, and you see another turnover for Florida State. Can Louisiana Tech capitalize on them?
Cordarius Johnson with the left hand finishes plus the foul.
More points off of turnovers for Louisiana Tech, and that time Ian Miller basically just gives the basketball away. And it's that simple, but getting to the other end, and this is when you're going to be able to beat Florida State. Before they can get their defense down and set, Boris Bojanowski standing in the middle of the floor, but not understanding where the attack is coming from. And now Louisiana Tech finding itself back into rhythm.
First on Bojanowski, 6th team foul on the Noles. 15 turnovers can often be the magic number for both of these teams. And Florida State getting a little sloppy here against the press. A near takeaway by Speedy Smith. Held ball. It will stay with Florida State.
But even though that basketball is not turned over, it does change the possession arrow. But more importantly, from a mental standpoint, it lets you know that we are going to have to make sure we protected every possession because they will not stop coming at you.
4 turnovers for Florida State. And we said 15 turnovers is the magic number for Louisiana Tech. If they force 15 or more, they haven't lost yet. And they nearly lose the ball here in the front court. Crowd looking for a foul call. Florida State maintains possession, but that doesn't seem like it's enough for Leonard Hamilton.
No, he's not happy about that. But, you know, one thing that Coach Hamilton does recognize, and we talked to him about it earlier, there will never be a time where Louisiana Tech is not attacking defensively and trying to turn them over. They will keep that relentless pursuit of the basketball for 40 minutes.
Thomas from the corner hits a three. And he was the player that kept it alive, stripping away the offensive rebound. Anderson, offensive foul. Chris Anderson lowered his shoulder. Good position by Jarquez Smith to draw the charge. That's the second on Anderson.
And Leonard Hamilton going to a smaller lineup with Jarquez Smith and Carl White playing the 4 and 5 positions in order to be able to guard against the dribble penetration from Louisiana Tech, and also to try to give them better ball handlers on the floor. Bojanowski and Ojo on the bench right now. And when you're talking about those guys not being able to protect the rim, Smith and Carl White can both move their feet and stay in front of Louisiana Tech attack.
And Corey, now with 9 minutes to go in the first half, Michael Kaiser and Chris Anderson both have 2 fouls each. So this is a 4-guard and small forward lineup on the floor for Louisiana Tech. They've got 4 backcourt players and Cordarius Johnson, who's a 3, against the size of Florida State. And taking advantage on the offensive glass, Jarquez Smith. That 3 won't go, and it goes over the backboard for Aaron Thomas, but Florida State's already done a good job here in the first half on the offensive glass. Now they've got the best 2 rebounders for Louisiana Tech in foul trouble.
That it does, and also it takes away, I mean, of course, for Louisiana Tech, it allows them to pressure even better, but it takes away your ability to be able to defend the paint and also take care of your defensive glass.
Speedy Smith, wraparound pass that ends up in the corner with Alex Hamilton, and he'll back it out. Hamilton with a jump stop, forces one up. Here comes Aaron Thomas. Ahead to Booker. Nice look underneath. The reverse just rolls off the rim for Jarquez Smith, but he'll shoot 2. Foul called on Speedy Smith. Coverage of the Division I Women's Basketball Championship continues Saturday. It's the Sweet 16. First at noon, Kentucky Baylor, and then at 2:30, Oklahoma State looking to end Notre Dame's pursuit of perfection. Both games live on Watch ESPN. The Sweet 16 doubleheader and the Women's Championship beginning at noon on Saturday.
One thing Louisiana Tech will not be fazed by this right now, but the first half, they jumped out to a 26-point lead at one point against Georgia in their last game, and Georgia was able to come back and make that a game. So Louisiana Tech will not be afraid of this game simply because they get behind. They know they'll have time to make it up. They'll get Kaiser back on the floor in the second half as well as Anderson, and they know that's when they're best. Right now for them, it's simply about staying within striking distance going into halftime.
A miss at the line for the freshman Jarquez Smith, who we had rated on ESPN.com as the 15th best power forward coming out of high school last year. So he has a lot of untapped potential. Appleby leans in. The floater comes up short. Rebound ripped away by Monte Brandon. Booker launches in and out. Speedy Smith the lob, and able to finish after the gather is Jaron Johnson. In the midst of fumbling it, he somehow was able to get it through.
And that's the advantage for Louisiana Tech right now. They've got a smaller lineup, but they've got a much quicker lineup on the floor than Florida State.
Aaron Thomas lost his footing and had that shot blocked underneath. As he turned the corner, he seemed to lose his balance. Johnson traveled. Fourth Louisiana Tech turnover. But this is what Speedy Smith does. Terrific pass from the point guard of the Bulldogs. All right, Kevin, thanks very much. 7-point lead for Florida State over Louisiana Tech. Both of these teams trying to get to Madison Square Garden. And Corey, we talk about the NIT possibly being a springboard. And just as a small sample size, but to go back the last 4 years, these are the champions. Baylor, Stanford, Dayton, all still alive in the NCAA tournament, and Wichita State was a 1 seed. So, to you, evidence that the NIT can provide a team with a jumping off point towards next year?
I definitely believe that's the case. And you look, Baylor and Stanford especially, but, I played in this tournament back in 1992, and we were able to win it. And the next year, we started out 15-0. So it builds so much confidence in your team and the core group that you have returning. And, of course, whenever you have an opportunity to continue to play games with younger players, it's always a benefit.
Jarquez Smith comes up short. And here comes Speedy Smith turning the corner. Into the corner. Off the mark, McNeil. Offensive rebound. McNeil tries again, and this time he buries a 3.
You can't give a guy that shoots as well as Keon McNeil 2 opportunities right there, and the second one wide open. And Speedy Smith, a big offensive rebound right there. Not as big as the game-winning offensive rebound he had against Iona in the first round, but still a big one right there. And now Louisiana Tech just stemming the tide within 4.
Lowering his shoulder is Thomas, and he gets a little baby one-hander to go in the lane. So Florida State maintaining a 6-point lead.
And that's the role Aaron Thomas has taken on for this Florida State team. When they find themselves in trouble, he's normally the guy that goes out and gets them a basket.
Cordarius Johnson can't finish with the left hand. Gets his own miss. The reverse goes.
You have to love the toughness of Johnson right there. Undersized in the paint, but still finding a way to get the job done.
That floater deflected right into the hands of Jarquez Smith, but he missed point-blank range. Loose ball, players on the floor. It's a tie-up, and it will belong to Louisiana Tech.
You can see it means something right now. We talked about both these teams have their eye on the Big Apple. And right now, Louisiana Tech, the energy is there. The effort is there on both sides. Both these teams won, and you see Coach Hamilton intense about this game, but you see that it means something to both sides.
The winner of this game meets Minnesota. SMU and Cal will follow our game. The winner of that matchup takes on Clemson, as the Tigers and Golden Gophers both winning last night. So they move on to the Garden. And Louisiana Tech doing very well with an undersized lineup. Michael Kaiser, Chris Anderson, their best two front court rebounders, on the bench with 2 fouls apiece. So it's 4 guards and a small forward on the floor for Louisiana Tech, and it hasn't made much of a difference as Alex Hamilton throws one down, and it's a 2-point game.
And I told you earlier, when you go to the basket against Florida State, you better be prepared to dunk it. That time, Alex Hamilton was prepared, and now Louisiana Tech finds itself within 1 possession, only down 2 now.
Way outside, Miller, no good. Tap to the corner, and here comes Speedy Smith. Behind Jaron Johnson, who has to recover. Looking for the lead, it's Cordarius Johnson. He can't hit. Low position for Okaro, and there is Florida State recognizing the size mismatch they have underneath.
And that's a smart play by Carl White. No execution as far as calling a set, just knowing he has a mismatch and planning right in the paint. However, Johnson able to knock down the 3 at the other end, and now Louisiana Tech is starting to find its rhythm. This is the way that they like to play. They're not going to allow Florida State to set up their defense. Quick shots are fine, and they're within 1.
Booker, a floater, too strong. Louisiana Tech has not led. Good hands, transition defense for Aaron Thomas to break up the kick to the corner. It's a 1-point game with 3.5 minutes to go in the first half.
If you're going to go to the rim, you better be prepared to finish. This time, Alex Hamilton finishing with the one-hand slam, and his Louisiana Tech team is within 1.
All right, Kevin, thanks very much. We have had an eventful first half, a one-point game between Florida State and Louisiana Tech. It's the quarterfinals of the NIT. The winner gets to Madison Square Garden and a matchup in the NIT Final Four with Minnesota. Bob Wischusen, Corey Alexander here in Tallahassee. It's been an up and down pace, which is what we expected. And this small lineup for Louisiana Tech with their best two front court rebounders in foul trouble, it's been pretty effective.
And they've been effective on the defensive end. Florida State started the game making 4 out of its first 5 field goals. Since then, only making 4 of its last 19 shots. So, you know, this smaller lineup paying dividends on the defensive end.
Johnson from way outside hits a 3, and the Bulldogs have their first lead.
I have to say on both ends because they're getting the job done offensively as well. So when you think about that, you know, great job by Matt White. And, of course, he's going to the bench because of desperation. But understand these guys know how to play together when they have to play with a small group on the floor.
Aaron Thomas throws it down off the back of the rim, and it caroms all the way back out to midcourt. It looked like he had a dunk. Instead, a reset for Florida State. And a Carl White doesn't get the roll. Offensive rebound, Gilchrist. That won't go, but the tip somehow rolls in. The backdoor look intended for Alex Hamilton.
And that is one of the cardinal sins in the game of basketball. You never fake the back door. Hamilton has to continue with it because, of course, if he's going to go, his point guard has to trust that he can throw it there. That's like a wide receiver coming across the middle and just stopping. You can't have that.
Did that go right through the legs of Ian Miller?
It did, and it would have went right into the hands of Alex Hamilton had he continued his path. He would have had a wide open layup at the rim.
You keep on that cut, you got a SportsCenter top 10 nominee.
Yep,
a pass through the defender's legs, and instead it's Devin Booker at the other end, hitting a triple, and that puts Florida State back on top. Jameis Winston, as you can see, on hand tonight to take in this game for the Noles, and Louisiana Tech trying to get to the Garden. McNeil kicks to the corner. Smith hits a 3. Check that. Cordarius Johnson. Normally, it's a drive and a kick to Keon McNeil, and he's knocking down threes. He turns into the playmaker there.
Well, and you have the two seniors. You're talking about Johnson and McNeil, and those guys don't want their career to end here in Tallahassee. They want to play in New York, and you've seen the sense of urgency from both of those guys here tonight.
Louisiana Tech was 13-3 in their first year in Conference USA. Tied with Tulsa, Middle Tennessee, and Southern Miss for the top spot, but by virtue of tiebreakers, they won the league title and ended up with the automatic bid to the NIT and barely lost in the championship game to Tulsa. On the drive with the left hand. Pretty finish by Carl White. He has been effective here in the first half.
He has, and of course for Carl White, he starts now at the power forward position for Florida State, but at the beginning of the season, he was a small forward. So he's a guy that understands how to play on the perimeter as well as in the post. A small lineup is not going to affect the Carl White.
Smith off the mark, way up in the air. Robert Gilchrist for the rebound. And now Leonard Hamilton wants to spend the use it or lose it timeout with under a minute to go in the first half, and the Noles up by 2. And tomorrow on ESPN at 11 a.m., Johnny Football will let it fly in front of NFL scouts as he looks to set himself apart and cement his place in the upcoming draft. It's Johnny Manziel's Pro Day tomorrow on SportsCenter, also live on Watch ESPN. Of course, 2 years ago, Johnny Manziel won the Heisman. And the most recent Heisman winner in attendance tonight, not only the Heisman Trophy winner, but a national champion to boot.
But we can't call him Jameis Football because he could be Jameis Baseball.
It's true. I think famous Jameis. It's got a ring to it.
I believe Jameis was involved in a little bit of a skirmish last night. They had a game against Florida, of course, the rival. Jameis getting frisky with the crowd. But Jameis was getting a little frisky with the Gators last night, had to be restrained. Things got a little touchy out there on the field.
Might have been Jameis Winston's Dancing with the Stars audition. But you're right, you could see immediately they wanted to make sure from a law enforcement perspective that they jumped right in front of Jameis Winston when the Noles and Gators had a bench clearing incident on the baseball field. Make sure that right arm, in two sports, nothing can happen to it.
The guy holding him back does not have on a baseball uniform. He's got a badge on.
And a very clear job to do. Ian Miller creates some space, hits the step back. 4-point lead for the Noles. The first points of the game for Ian Miller. The average is 14 a night. Ten seconds to go in the first half. Alex Hamilton has been quiet. He's going to have to force one. Way short. And it will be a 4-point lead for the Noles.